All right, everybody, welcome tonight. We are, as always, coming to you live from the Palatial Studios, towering 13 feet above Mercer Street, coming from the 16125 zip code. I mean, just blowing doors from the state of Pennsylvania. It is nice to have you in here tonight. We've had a great day, had a long day. We're going to be talking about that some. You guys are seeing the t-shirt here. We're getting trimmer. Now, I know tonight was supposed to be the official weigh-in, but we've got a small problem on the weigh-in, and it's not that I'm afraid of the weigh-in. The weigh-in's looking good. That's why I'm wearing this trim fit-looking t-shirt, flexing a little bit on air. But today, I forgot that I had to attend a wedding. So today's schedule has been quite crazy. In fact, before we go any further tonight, do our welcomes and all that stuff that we do, I would like to give a big shout out to my mentoree, Justin Reynolds, his wife, Rebecca. They got married today. There's a picture. Yes, they were married over Avalon Lakes over near Youngstown, Ohio, for those of you that are not from this neck of the woods. And it was a very nice wedding, but unfortunately we decided to get married on the hottest day of the year in Ohio and Pennsylvania. It was smoking warm, but we had a great wedding there. It was at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and yes, we are rolling live now. So I have this production set up to do the on-air live weigh-in, and but all my other production guys are at the wedding. So we're gonna back that up, but I can tell you everything is looking good. Everything is on task. Now, if you look here at the picture, have a little fun before we get going. Of course, there's a picture right there on the left of Justin and Rebecca getting married outdoors right by the 18th. Man, I wanted to go play golf. I just wanted to leave. I mean, I can't leave Justin's wedding, but I really wanted to leave and just go play golf. It's so beautiful. But if you look there on the right, that is Justin beside me, Blake on the left, well, it'd be your right, and then Dad John. I jumped in and saw him right before he walked down the grass aisle. And if you've ever wondered why I travel with Justin and have him as a mentoree, look how big those boys are. That's right. We're talking national champion wrestlers, and that's Dad and two sons there. So I'm not a dummy. So whenever I'm rolling around the world, Justin's with me quite often, just in case somebody wants to get a little tight on us. I've got big Justin there. You've got to understand, I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall, and those guys are towering up there. They're about 7.5, 8 feet tall each. So I mean, we're talking some big boys. And but with all that said, I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Justin and Rebecca on their wedding today. So good news for them. It was great. So it put us off schedule for the Scale It Down, but I can tell you the Scale It Down is going well. I am now down 16 pounds, wearing the trim model t-shirt, looking good. Everything's golden. But we will have the weigh-in coming in pretty soon here. I see all of you guys jumping in here. Welcome to Facebook. Welcome to YouTube. And, of course, welcome to our Integrity Television family. Everybody's jumping in here tonight live. It is going to be a great night. I see all of you there. A big shout-out to you, John and Lynn, down there in Richmond, Virginia, looking to jump on the Hope Train. The Hope Train's coming to a station near you. Shirley Leventry, I do see your message here, and I want to pop it up there. Watching from Mississippi, please pray for the Gulf Coast hurricane on our doorsteps. We are going to be talking about that in a little while. Because if you saw the pre-advertisement for the program, tonight we're giving the State of the Union. Typically, the State of the Union, initiated by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, is typically in January of each year, occasionally February, and there have been a couple that stretch to March, but typically it's January of each year for the State of the Union. And since we basically have an administration that keeps their back on the country, I figured I would just jump in tonight and give the State of the Union, because right now the Union is in quite a state. Valerie Archer checking in from Nevada. God bless you. I see you there, S.L. Ferguson. What's up? Robin Branch checking in. Hello, brother. Hello, sister. It reminds me of that song. Hello, mother. Elevada. Greetings from Camp Granada. Ain't that how the song went? I think that's how the song went. I'm very, very close. And big shout out to you there, Eric Wilson. I think we have the name established. We'll continue to develop the graphics and develop all of the fun stuff that goes with it, but we have figured it out. We are the Hope Train, and it's coming to a station near you. Now, folks, with all that said, of course, I am very, very thirsty tonight, and it's time for the beverage of the night, as we always enjoy that. For those of you that are joining for the first time, especially Integrity Television audience is growing, you go, who is this cat on my television station? Well, you ought to see this cat. He's my partner, Bernard P. Fife. Bernard is locked and loaded. Well, I do a beverage of the night, and so being outside at that wedding today, it was like 90-some degrees, 190% humidity. We were having the ceremony between the putting green and the 18th green on the grass that was wet, so the humidity was really, really nice. It was just beautiful. It was just wonderful. But it was worth it to witness my buddy getting married there. And I just became very thirsty. So I've just let the thirst build. Folks, I've got a good beverage of the night tonight. I'm excited about it. We're talking a whole new level here. You guys south of the Mason-Dixon line, you're going to like this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to witness is not only exciting and educational, but sometimes a bit risky as well. Do not try this at home. It's time for the beverage of the night.
Folks, the beverage of the night tonight is on an epic level. You have to understand, I'm originally from the South. John and Lynn are checking in from Chester, Virginia. I grew up in Chester, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, Lynchburg, Appomattox, Buckingham. I'm just a Virginia boy. And down there, we like our sweet tea. Now, with the Scale It Down adventure that we're going on together, I cannot have normal Granny's sweet tea, which has 3.5 cups of sugar in it. I have to go with the diet version of sweet tea. So we're going through different adjustments, different changes, and into the studio tonight, knowing that I'm famished, folks, is a brand new diet sweet tea that I've been given. I guess somebody thinks I'm really thirsty. Good grief. Folks, how about sugar-free sweet iced tea? Somebody tell me, how can you have sugar-free sweet iced tea? Yeah, I've got a glass here. But you know what? I wonder if we can shake it up. There we go. Let's shake it up real good. Oh, you know it's coming. How can you have sugar-free sweet tea? I bet this is... I'm concerned about this one. Man, don't you hate it when the plastic comes off and you can't get in it? Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm in it. Here we go, baby. Folks, is he gonna do it? Of course he is. Come on, have a little fun. It's Friday fun night. That wasn't too good of an idea. I think I'm gonna pour it in the glass. Folks, I can tell you something right now. This ain't bad. Sugarless sweet tea. I'm gonna give it about a 7 out of a 10. But hey, there's no calories, and I can drink all of it. Are you ready? It's time for the State of the Union. Folks, it is time for the State of the Union tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. And I do see Lily Garcia jumping in here. God bless you, Lily. I know you're coming in from Brentwood, California. You know, we're getting to where we have probably all the states represented or getting there, because I'm unable to communicate with the folks on Integrity Television, of course, but I'm sure we have many, many more states in there. In all the states, because I can't even say hi to all of you now. There's so many people chatting, but please keep chatting, keep talking to each other, keep putting the prayer requests out, encouraging each other, talking to me. I'm trying to keep up and read all of the chats at the same time and get the hope train rolling. So folks, tonight the hope train is rolling, the State of the Union. You know, we've been discussing the role of America in the end times. We've been looking at Ezekiel 38. We've been looking at peace that Israel is making with many Arab nations around it. We've also studied how that there will be armies that come in from the north against Israel. And the purpose of that Ezekiel 38 war is to plunder Israel, to take their stuff. We see the things that are happening to really bring this scripture to pass. I'm not telling you it's going to happen tomorrow, but I can tell you we're closer to Ezekiel 38 unfolding today than we were yesterday or a year ago. It's very obvious, especially with what we are seeing unfold right now in Afghanistan. And of course, we will be talking about that. I've got some interesting things to share with you. Got some little bit of clarity I'm going to give you so that you understand what's going on and how these factions are working. What is the U.S. really doing? All of that. But tonight, folks, I wanted to start with Lebanon. We've been talking about Lebanon for months. Absolutely talking about Lebanon for months. And why do I talk about Lebanon? Because Lebanon is the nation directly north, over on the Mediterranean, of Israel. They share a common border. And Lebanon right now is basically a completely destroyed nation. And the problem with that is Hezbollah, which is a terrorist organization, is basically running Lebanon. Yes, they have a government, they have a prime minister, they have a president, they have all of those things, but they're not running the nation. The nation is being run by Hezbollah. And right now, Lebanon is experiencing complete devastation and potentially a completely failed state. They have no electricity. They are running out of clean water. There's a famine coming to Lebanon. So which nation is jumping in and partnering with Hezbollah? You've seen it if you've seen the headlines, and I didn't have time to put those in tonight, but Iran is the nation that is coming in and trying to support Hezbollah, trying to support Lebanon. Why? Because there is an end game in play. Right now, what's going on in Afghanistan is just a part of it, but it's going to spread. It's going to spread left. It's going to go west. It's going to come into Iran. It's going to come through Iraq and Syria and then Lebanon. And then it's just staged. It's poised to roll right down into Israel. And of course, Turkey will be there as well. I'm here to tell you, Turkey will be there as well, partnered up on the north side. So Lebanon right now, I want to give you an example of what happens in a failed state. And that's where we're going to start tonight. Then we'll jump over to Afghanistan. I just want you to remember today is August the 27th. Today's August the 27th. I'm telling you right now, Lebanon is going to become huge in the news over the next few months. Just as Afghanistan, we always were aware, and, our soldiers are there. We knew that our government was pulling our military out, and it's always been a topic, on your world news or whatever. This happened in Afghanistan, but never to the level that now it basically, as it should, dominates the news because it's affecting the world. It's affecting the Christian community. It's affecting international security. It's affecting America's reputation. It's affecting the witness of the gospel. And I could keep listing for the next 43 minutes what Afghanistan is affecting right now with the events that are transpiring right this very moment. I'm here to tell you, I told you about a month ago on this very program that once the Taliban moved on the first border, I remember talking about it. The first thing the Taliban did was they took over the border between Iran and Afghanistan. And then they started spreading. And I told you, I said, it's not going to take very long, but they're gonna take over Afghanistan. And then you saw the reports come out where government agencies were saying, yeah, this might happen in 90 days. And I said, no, it's not going to take 90 days. And we see that Afghanistan fell in less than 3 weeks. So it's really interesting what's going on. So I hate, be the bearer of bad news, but I'm here to tell you Lebanon's going to become the next big player on the stage. I really feel that. It's August the 27th. We'll be watching it together through the fall, through the rest of the summer. But they're in a terrible state right now. And I've got a couple graphics I want to show you. I'm going to zoom them up for you here. But right now, Lebanon, in 2019, look at the graphic up on the right, top right. In 2019, you could get 4 bottles of water, clean drinking water, for what now you can purchase 1. The price has increased 8-fold. The graphic below that is in regard to water. Only 0.3% of the population of Lebanon is safe on their water supply. 28% have a moderate problem, but 20, 17, and 33 have critical, highly critical, and extremely critical. The extremely critical, they're just functioning on liters of clean water per day. And I want you to see the graphic over on the left. Lebanon right now has the world's most expensive fuel. I know that, when we go to the pumps to fill up, we're aggravated. The price of fuel has went up. But let me give you some relativity here. A gallon of gas in Lebanon right now costs $16. $16 per gallon. If you have a 20-gallon tank on your vehicle, $320 to fill that puppy up. The most expensive fuel. And you're saying, well, how's that even possible? That's exactly right. It's not possible. People do not have that money. They do not have electricity. They do not have water. Let me ask you something. If there's no electricity and no water, is anybody working? Of course not. They're not working. What are we looking at? A failed state happening right in front of our eyes. And the world now, listen, I'm going to put the dots together. The world is so focused, as it should be, please don't misunderstand me, so focused on what's happening in Kabul. Right now, the Iranian regime is setting up camp in Lebanon, and I doubt anybody is paying attention to it. It's very, very critical time. There is a coalition happening, and we're watching it before our eyes. Of course, we will stay on that together. Uh-oh, I see. Boom. I got a birthday cake coming next week. Folks, next Tuesday, the Tuesday night experience program is going to be a party because that's August 31st and that's my birthday. We're going to have a phenomenal birthday show. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to do something special. You don't want to miss it, and that's what Chrissy Ramos talking about there. Todd Ragland, what's up? I appreciate that, my dear friend, my fishing partner from Longview, Washington. I remember fishing the Columbia River with you, my friend, and I look forward to doing it again in the future as we pull in those big salmon. God bless you there, Todd Ragland. So, folks, that's what's going on there in Lebanon. I led with that tonight because I believe, honestly, it's a huge story, and we're going to watch it unfold. So now, State of the Union. Let's talk about America. Let's talk about Afghanistan. I am not going to sit here for the next 38 minutes and 37 seconds and just bash our administration. I'm not even going to insult your intelligence to do that. You know as well as I know that right now we are a nation spiraling out of control because we have no leadership. Let me explain this to you. I want you to imagine a jet airplane flying across the sky, a jet airplane that you're going from destination A to destination B. And you get up and you're sailing along. And then all of a sudden, and it couldn't happen on a jetliner, but let's just say you're on a regular little plane. You're cruising along 12,000 feet, 20 passengers. All of a sudden, the pilot and the co-pilot come out of the cockpit. And they say, well, guys, we put it on autopilot. It'll land itself. Everything's good. We're checking out. And they open the door, jump out with their parachutes, and say bye. Yeah, the plane is on autopilot, and computers have the ability to land the plane. Folks, I've got a friend that is an airline pilot. He is a captain on an Airbus 320. He also flew Airbus 330s internationally. His name is Captain Paul Bowles for Delta Airlines. Folks, computers can land the plane. But don't think for a second that the captain and co-pilot's not doing it. They are doing it. They're landing the planes. So this is the picture that we have right now that I'm drawing for what's happening in America. Planes up, and we're just on autopilot. We think, we don't, they think that these, what would it be? Not organizations, but yeah, governmental organizations, different departments, can just take care of everything naturally. You know, the State Department's just going to flow and do what they do. The Pentagon's going to do what they do. Homeland Security's going to do what they do. But we don't really have to give them leadership. Folks, that's where we're at. We are right now at failed leadership. The pilot and co-pilot have put the country on cruise control, and they've taken a parachute out. Now, we're still on the plane, and we still got a chance to land it with the computer, but there's no pilot. And I understand that, okay, but God's in control. 100% agree. But God puts people into positions. God allows certain things to unfold. And right now, I'm very concerned about what's happening with our administration. You want a State of the Union? I'll give it to you tonight. Here's a photo of President Biden. This photo has went viral. For those of you that are not big internet people, let me explain to you what viral means. Viral means a photo or a video has just jumped in popularity where it's being shared everywhere, and it's called going viral. This is a picture of our president when he was asked a question by Peter Doocy of Fox News. All he could do was bow his head. My friends, when it is time to establish and display leadership. It is not time to turn around and America and the rest of the world only see the back of your head. It's not time to bow your head. He's not praying there, folks. He has no idea what to do. You say, okay, PG, we understand that. And I'm not bashing him personally. The man needs Jesus and he needs to move on. That's just all that's to it. But there's just pure incompetence. That's not an ugly thing a Christian can't say. Oh, you can't say it's ugly. It's not ugly. There's incompetence. Even the lady there that does the sign language for every press conference from the White House. Look at her expression. Hello? You're the president of the United States, and it's 100% your fault that 13 of our Marines and 100 Afghans died. If you would have established a proper protocol, not told the enemy when we're taking our troops out, not given the Taliban a list of important Afghani people, this would have never happened. If you would have rolled the military in and left them there in force to get our people out safely, you wouldn't be sitting there with your head bowed wondering what to do. Russell James coming in from Integrity Television, VP. What makes you nervous when the VP's watching? If we the people don't stand up, we are. Well, you know, and he is exactly right. Folks, leadership. Maybe that's a picture you remember. The pilots jumped. The co-pilots jumped. We're on cruise control. Here's another issue I have. So basically, folks, here's the deal. We are basically, whether they want to admit it or not, we're in war. You say, now, hold on. There's been no war declared. Okay, we haven't declared war, but they have. I guarantee you. Why did I start with the Lebanon story? Because it's very simple. We are a nation right now that with our top tier leadership on display, we're spineless. 100%. Now, we're not. Our military is not. Our wonderful men and women who serve all of our armed forces, they're not. In fact, if you read anything or watch anything on any type of news outlet right now, you're reading on the internet, all of our military just want to go in and take care of business. And believe me, they could take care of business in a New York minute. We're talking about 75,000 members max of the Taliban who is telling us what to do. And I know everybody's trying to cover and say, oh, well, that's not really happening. Baloney, it is happening. And then we have a president who drops his head, and then after he finishes his speech, he makes this statement. Well, let me call on the reporters that I was instructed to call. Can I ask a question? Who instructs you on which reporters to talk to? Who is behind the curtain? And this is not a conspiracy theory. I can now call this a fact. When the president, and if it was Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, I don't care. I would call it the same way. When a president will stand at a podium and pull out a piece of paper. Now, let me call on the reporters I was instructed to. Then calls a name and calls their organization. Sir, even if you were instructed, do not say it. And if you do not recognize, if leaders in our nation do not recognize that those around the world who would want to do this world harm, who would want to disrupt and destabilize, whether it be militarily, like terrorist groups, or economically, like the Chinese, who absolutely want to rule the world economically. You, as the president, cannot be bowing your head at a press conference, turning your back on the cameras, nor can you say, I'm calling on who I was instructed. You have to stand up, sir, and lead. Not make these little petty speeches and then quote a scripture out of the book Isaiah that you actually quoted out of context. You're trying to do stuff that's not even possible. It's very obvious to see that there's somebody behind the curtain pulling the ropes. What was that movie, The Wizard of Oz? Wizard of Oz? Ignore the man behind the green curtain. Was it the green curtain? Ignore the man behind the curtain. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Whatever the quote was, you understand. Folks, at the most important time in the last 20 years, internationally, where we need to be as strong as a lion, right now, we are the absolute opposite. Why on earth are we not in there right now cleaning house? And I mean win them to Jesus before we clean them out. That's fine. No problem. Why on earth? Because we're still negotiating with the Taliban. Fact. We're still negotiating with the Taliban so that they will offer safe passage. Dear friends, let me give you some advice tonight and some news. You can never negotiate with a terrorist group. The Taliban is a terrorist group. ISIS-K is a terrorist group. ISIS-K, and I will explain them to you in just one moment. They're just higher on the spectrum. And yes, they're not the closest allies with the Taliban, but ISIS-K is made up of former Taliban. There is a connection there, and all they're doing right now is snowballing the world so that they can get control of Kabul and then move with their agenda forward, which is to disrupt nations, to destroy economies, and to wreak havoc with fear. And we're just letting it happen because we think that we can negotiate with the Taliban to allow safe passage for Americans. Let me tell you what allows safe passage for Americans. You roll the USS Ronald Reagan up in there off the coast, and if anybody even breathes, you take them out. And you don't just drop in 7,500 Marines, but just go ahead and roll in 100,000 for about 2 weeks, clean the place out, and bring our boys home. That's how you do it. That's the State of the Union. It's ridiculous. All the work we've done. And the problem is in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Lebanon, in Iran, in Iraq, there are some wonderful people. And listen, tonight I do not want you to think evil of Muslims. Do not think evil of Muslims. Not all Muslims believe this way. Not all Muslims are jihadists. And you're saying, now be careful now, the Quran says it. Yes, there are different factions of Islam. I have some very good Islamic friends. They just need Jesus. They want a good family. They want peace. They're just lost spiritually. There's no difference between a Muslim and one who is following Hinduism or Confucianism. You would look at them differently. Don't look at them differently. They all need Jesus. But the radical jihadists are evil. They're full of the devil, period. And it's the Taliban, and it's Hezbollah, and it's Hamas, and it's ISIS, and it's ISIS-K. And right now we think we can negotiate with them for safe passage. Come on, it's ridiculous. Safe passage? And here's what happened. Here's what happened. The Afghanistan airport, because now we're a couple days after, I've been reading on this for days, getting ready for tonight. That top headline right there, folks, came out today because President Biden came out and blamed this terrorist attack on President Trump. Now, remember, I'm never in here. I know we all have our opinions on Trump, Biden, Reagan, Carter, whatever you want. I'm not here to persuade you. I don't sit here on bandwagons. I'm on biblical principles, not right, left, center, biblical truth. You can like who you want, support who you want. You're an American, or if you're watching in some other country, it's how we roll here with freedom. You can get vaccinated, get not vaccinated. I'm here to just look straight with what the scripture says. But let me tell you something. You cannot blame Donald Trump for this terrorist attack at the Kabul airport. The reason this terrorist attack happened at the Kabul airport is not because Donald Trump was in negotiations with the Taliban months and months and months, even years ago during his administration. That's not why it happened. Why it happened is because right now we have no leadership in Washington, D.C. The Taliban, ISIS know that America is not going to do anything but cower in fear with our leadership because they're all a bunch of just babies right now, so they have a freedom to do what they want. The reason they didn't do this under Donald Trump is because he would have steamrolled them in a New York minute. They know that, it's obvious, and then you're going to come out and you're going to blame Donald Trump? You're crazy. Sorry. You need Jesus. Peter Ducey, the reporter for Fox News, says, President Biden, do you bear any responsibility for the way that things have unfolded in the last 2 weeks? And his answer, and I quote, is right there in front of you. You know as well as I do that a former president made a deal with the Taliban. What a joke. What a joke. Sir, you have failed. The problem is everybody now is calling for his resignation. Let me tell you something. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful. Oh, he's got to resign. We got to get him out. Okay. He's incompetent. Do you know what the next level of incompetence is coming? Be careful what you ask for. What we need is not just him out or administration change. What we need is a revival in America. I'm going to show you some things about that in a moment. The reason that we're in the situation we are right now is because our country has turned away from God. That's why we're at where we're at. And everybody's screaming now, he's got to go. He's incompetent. He's got, dementia and all these things. Be careful what you ask for. Because if he goes out, Kamala Harris will be president of the United States. You just think about that for a moment. That is not a personal jab at her. That's just a fact. That's incompetence to the second level. It's just the way it is, folks. Oh, who's after her? Nancy Pelosi. Be careful what you ask for. What we need right now is a miracle impact from heaven. You see, right now, what actually happened over there in Afghanistan is a group that took responsibility for it is called ISIS-K. Now, I want to explain something to you guys tonight. I want to explain something to you. On the bottom left graphic, I have two dates there. 1893 and 1947. You say, okay, what are those? Why do you have those numbers there? Let me zoom into that for just a second so you can see. Look at the map there. On the map, you've got Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, Iraq, Russia, Azerbaijan, India. But you see on that map a very, very large painted pink section. Now, I'm going to zoom back out so I can look at you while I'm talking to you. But that large pink section touches parts of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. And I know all those stands get a little confusing. The pink is an area known as Khorasan. Khorasan. ISIS is the terrorist group out of Syria and Iraq that has factions throughout the Middle East, throughout Southeast Asia, and they are now branded with different little initials to show where they're at geographically. So ISIS K is ISIS from the Khorasan province. Now, the Khorasan province is an ancient province. You see, I think it was divine that I was in Pakistan December 2019. Tonight, folks, I want to encourage you that God sees the end from the beginning. He knows what's going to happen in your life tomorrow. He knows what it's going to happen 10 days from now, 50 days from now. Hold on a second. Let me just pop that one up there. Wilma Andrews, I appreciate your comment, but ma'am, you're sadly mistaken. This saddens me. It does sound like a political show that very much tells listeners that the church supports Trump administration. I don't think you've ever heard me say that, Wilma Andrews, and is anti-Biden. No, I'm not anti-Biden. I'm pro-Jesus, and I'm pro-realistic activity in our nation, and I'm pro-America, and I'm pro-Bible. I do not think it will attract new believers to your church who may not be Trump supporters, who make statements about what's going on. Let me tell you something. I'm not even a Trump supporter. I'm a Ronald Reaganite and a Bibleite, so before you start commenting on my program like that, why don't you listen to a few programs and you'll hear I don't patter to the right, I don't patter to the left, I go right down the middle, and my program lines up with the Bible. But I appreciate your comment. Don't dare say I'm a Trumpite. I'm a Jesusite. Don't get up in my program commenting that. You watch my programs. It's the Bible. ISIS K comes from the Khorasan province. I think it is by divine providence that I was in Pakistan right before COVID hit. I was able to learn about the culture. You see, if you look at that map there and you see that big pink region, that's the Khorasan region. And the Khorasan region is cross borders. When I was in Pakistan, the guy that I was there with told me, he says, Greg, you have to understand, Pakistan only became a nation in 1947. That's why 1947 is there. He says, Afghanistan became a nation in 1893. He says, then let me explain to you what this means. He goes, in Pakistan and into India, we are Punjabi people. He goes, we are ancient Punjabis, but the British Empire and all these other events through World War I and World War II established these borders. And he went on to tell me, he goes, half of my family is in India and I'm not allowed to visit them because of the border, but we're all Punjabs. I said, okay. He says, now with Afghanistan, it's full of the Khorasan. And those people reach throughout all these nations. He says, so whenever you're looking on the news and you hear Afghanistan or Pakistan or India or these nations, you must understand, we do not look at borders the way other nations look at borders. We look at people groups. So this Khorasan is this group of people throughout all these nations. ISIS-K, the Khorasan people. ISIS-K has 15,000 members. 15,000 members. That's it. And right now, not only America, But all the nations of the world, until we have done something about this, are at the mercy. You see, how can you say that? It's a fact. Right now, until we change it, they're running the show in that region. 75,000 members of the Taliban, 15,000 members of ISIS-K. ISIS-K took responsibility. President Biden's very vague on whether the U.S. gave Taliban a list of the vulnerable Afghans. The bottom line is the United States did give the Taliban a list of important people that needed to get to the airport. It's a fact. They gave them a list, and that list became a hit list. Now, what is happening is our country is dividing from the inside out. That is why we need a revival. Now, Wilma, I think we definitely would agree with that. We may not agree on everything. That's okay. I love you. But we can agree that America needs revival and the lost need Jesus. That's a fact. But one of the things happening right now inside our nation is that our own nation is losing cohesiveness. The most powerful committee in the United States Senate, this is just basic facts, is the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. They are now in complete division with what is happening in Afghanistan. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee tweeted out a direct statement. I strongly and forcefully condemn today's explosions outside of Kabul airport targeting U.S. citizens, personnel, and vulnerable Afghans trying to flee Afghanistan. And here comes the statement. As we wait for more details to come in, one thing is clear. We cannot trust the Taliban with America's security. And folks, that's where I am at. On some good news, Glenn Beck, well, kind of good news. Glenn Beck, radio host, TV host, and Samaritans Purse are right now helping Christians who have been marked for death flee Afghanistan. Glenn Beck has raised $28 million and has helped 7,000 Christians escape Afghanistan. Because under Taliban rule, under ISIS-K rule, it basically is a death sentence for the Christian community. So Glenn Beck, Franklin Graham, Samaritans Purse, they are locked and loaded together doing a very good deal getting Christians out. You may say, okay, PG, so what's the deal with Christians in Afghanistan? I'm glad you asked. A little video I want to show you, a little inside as to what's happening in the Afghan Christian community and why this is so dangerous.
Within hours of capturing Herat, the terror group's fighters were out patrolling streets trying to convince residents of Afghanistan's third largest city that life would soon return normal.
Business will continue as normal, and people are happy with us. And with our services, they will be happier.
Hamid has serious doubts about those claims.
Right now, we fear elimination. The Taliban are going to eliminate the Christian population of Afghanistan.
Hamid, not his real name, is among thousands of Afghans who've come to faith in Jesus Christ over the past 2 decades. We've concealed his identity for safety.
There weren't a lot of Christians 20 years ago during the Taliban time. But today, we are talking about 5,000 to 8,000 local Christians, and they live all over Afghanistan.
In an exclusive interview from an undisclosed location, Hamid told CBN News he's very concerned about the future of Afghanistan's tiny Christian community.
We know a Christian believer who we've been working with in the north. He is a leader, and we've lost contact with him because his city has fallen to the Taliban. There are 3 other cities that we have lost contact with our Christian believers.
According to Open Doors, Afghanistan is the second most dangerous place to be a Christian in the world, just behind North Korea. The majority of the Christians here converted from Islam.
Some of the believers are known in their communities. People know that they converted from Islam to Christianity, and they are considered apostates. and the penalty for that is death. The Taliban are famous for carrying out that punishment.
Taliban fighters are reportedly now going door to door, forcing families to give up their daughters, some as young as 12, to be sex slaves for their men.
I have 4 sisters that are single. They are at home and they are worried about this.
David, a foreign national, has worked in Afghanistan for the past 3 decades. We've taken similar precautions to protect his identity. He saw the Taliban's brutality up close while living in Kabul during its last reign. Now comes fear of a return to the days of regular executions, flogging, stoning to death, and hand-chopping.
They have a strict interpretation of Islamic law, not only from the Quran, but also from what they call hadiths, which are traditions, sayings, and practical applications of Islamic law. They take these literally.
Despite these threats, David says there's a hunger among Afghans like never before to know God in an intimate way.
People are really seeking in their heart for peace, seeking for a true relationship with God, for meaning in life, and for an understanding of who is this God.
Hamid is asking people around the world to pray for his country during these uncertain times.
The Christian community in Afghanistan is strong. They are trusting Jesus. They are working with Jesus despite the potential of being eliminated by the Taliban.
George Thomas, CBN News.
I'll tell you what, that's quite a testimony there. It gives you a little insight. CBN News put that out as to the reality of what happens to the Christian community under Taliban rule, ISIS rule. It's why we have to be light. It's why, Samaritans Purse. It's why, what do they call? Nazarene Fund. That's what it is. Are doing a great service. And not only that, I'm still believing America's going to step up and do what is right, and take care of not only our people, but there are some wonderful people there in Afghanistan. Because ultimately, what we need and what we desire is revival to come to the nations of the world. Now, folks, back in America, you've been watching this. It's just, to me, interesting. All this stuff just happens. I'm not a doomsdayer at all. I'm a happy dayer. But we just have to look at the facts of what's going on. We have to look at the world in which we live. We look how it lines up with the Bible, with scriptures, with prophecy. And I'm not here to say these are, movements of God or God is doing anything. You're not going to hear me say any of that. But what you're going to hear me say is, it's interesting, all this stuff unfolding over there in the Middle East. And then we have the pandemic going on around the world. Whatever your viewpoint is on that, it doesn't matter. It's happening. And now, earthquakes, scripture talked about it, happening in multiple locations. Haiti just had another bad one. And bam, here comes Hurricane Ida. I will never forget Hurricane Ida because Ida is my grandmother's name. And I will not even make jokes about this because it's serious. Although I could make a good one about Hurricane Ida, because my grandma's feisty. She's still kicking, 87 years old. But here's what's interesting. It's expected to strengthen into a Category 4 before making landfall. And as of right now, it is not only on the exact track that Katrina was, it's projected to be stronger. Here's the goofy thing. It is projected to hit 16 years to the exact day after Katrina hit. Now, New Orleans has, with Army Corps of Engineers, increased their infrastructure. Right now, they are under mandatory evacuations in a lot of the areas that are potential danger spots. So we shall see. Hopefully, this thing dissipates, breaks up, because if it comes into New Orleans, it's going to wrap up through Tennessee, where we've now already had not 100-year flooding, but the weather guys have said that is 1,000-year rain. Complete millennium is how dangerous and how devastating that rain was. My dad was down there for Drusa, and he said it was just indescribable what happened there in Tennessee. But we're coming together and we're helping. and good things are happening there. Folks, the eviction moratorium, economics, it's still happening. Supreme Court ruled that no moratoriums anymore. And now Biden administration is looking for local government indices to step in and to help folks. The bottom line is, whether it's hurricanes, natural disasters, wars and rumors of wars, economics also, there are some interesting times in which we are living. Folks, I'm going to come back to this one on Tuesday. I want to teach you about what deflation is, but it's going to take me a little bit more time, and I want to spend some time on it because right now everybody in America is worried about inflation because of what's going on in the economy, both here in America and abroad. But the reality is what we are looking at potentially this fall and winter is not inflation, but actually deflation. And deflation is much, much more dangerous than inflation because deflation leads to recession and depression. But I'll teach you about that on Tuesday night, on birthday night. Last thing I want to finish with here is Harvard's new lead chaplain, drum roll please, is an atheist. Is an atheist. Did you realize that Harvard originally was established as a seminary? It was a training university for ministers of the gospel. And its original motto was truth for Christ and the church. We've come a long way, dear friends, in 300 years. The lead chaplain of Harvard now is an atheist. And his statement was, we do not seek after God. There is no God. We seek after good. And that, my friends, is the chaplain of Harvard University. It's interesting that now 40% of students in Harvard University claim to be atheist or agnostic. You see, friends, we need a revival on all levels of society, not just Washington, in our universities, in our schools. We need it in our businesses, in our workplaces. The world just needs Jesus. Now, I can take that down and give you a scripture as to exactly what's happening. Romans chapter 1, verse 25, and this is where I want to close tonight. Romans chapter 1, verse 25 says, they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. When you see reports about Harvard and the lead chaplain is an atheist, when you see the cry of the nations, whether it be Afghanistan, whether it be Lebanon, when you see the cry of America, it could be, a hurricane coming toward Louisiana, or it could be economic problems, or it can just be confusion, and people get so frustrated over this person, that person, left, right, middle. That's why I say, actually, none of that is the important underlying truth. The important underlying truth is we have to stop worshiping the created things and get back to worshiping the Creator. And if we get back as a society and a world to worshiping the Creator, the King of Glory, I can tell you right now, Afghanistan will be okay. Lebanon will be okay. Louisiana will be okay. Economy will be okay. Churches will be okay. Pandemics will be okay. People will come to the light and the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Why? Because we're not worshiping the created ourselves and the things we can do, but we're worshiping the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Folks, this has been an awesome Friday night. I'm going to finish out my gallon of sweet tea tonight. May the Lord bless you, keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you. And may you have more peace than you can possibly handle. We'll see you Tuesday night on the Hope Train, the birthday extravaganza coming at you. We love you. Good night.